a good way to know if you're on the right side is to have a look at who's fighting you. If you want to know who was the good guys in World War II, you were either fighting an alliance of countries that didn't want to get invaded, or the Nazis. So, these days, when I see a PAC being funded by a billionaire who donates almost exclusively, not entirely, but almost exclusively to the GOP, and that PAC it's designed only to attack progressives, makes me think I might be on the right side there, and you likely are as well. Let's have a look at John Iadarola poking fun at this particular individual.
There are many obstacles standing between progressives and getting elected to Congress, but not all of them are exactly what they might at first seem to be. We're gonna give you an example, and it's called the Moderate PAC. It's a PAC, they raise money. And in this case, the way that it's being presented is this. Axios reported last week that the PAC, the Moderate PAC, is planning to raise $20 million to fight off Democratic primary challengers in 2024 and, quote, scare off progressive groups like Justice Democrats that have backed several successful primary challengers and helped create a growing squad of progressive lawmakers in Congress. So look, already at face value, that's not great. It's a group designed to stop the Democratic Party from ever becoming nearly as progressive as its voters are. So that's bad. But it's actually way worse than that. And when Axios did this reporting, they would just leave you with the idea that this is like another, I don't know, blue dog or centrist Democratic group or something like that. But it's actually worse. The group's only consultant is Greg Schultz, Joe Biden's former campaign manager. So, having someone so closely tied to the current president who seems to have as his only goal in life stopping progressives from getting elected, that would be bad. But
how many times do I say that centrists are more interested in fighting progressives than they are in fighting with the GOP? That is because progressives threaten money that centrists rely on. Centrists don't tend to get a ton of grassroots donors. They're certainly better than the GOP, but that's not where their funding comes from. Their funding comes from the same places that the GOP's does. If you wonder why we always seem to have the same problems in America, or why there's that run-on joke of all politicians seeming to be the same person, it's because they're all bribed by the same people.
There's some other things that you need to understand as well. And in this case, we have to give a lot of credit to Kayla Lacey at The Intercept, who dug into this group. Not only who founded it, who
well done,
works it,
Kayla.
but also, and most importantly, who's actually funding this effort to control what sort of Democrats make it through the primary process. So first, the founder and workers. We have Ty Strong, the Moderate PAC president and founder, worked for a decade as a financial and business management analyst at Booz Allen Hamilton before joining a smaller financial firm in Pennsylvania back in 2020 that closed abruptly the following year.
Booz Allen Hamilton, that's a name.
Joined the Moderate PAC in October of 2021. Mary Sue Strong is the chief financial officer at ProSync Technology Group, a defense contractor that provides IT services to the federal government.
Jesus.
So already you're off to a great start. You've got some financial people tied in with Wall Street. You have defense contractors. You've got some Joe Biden former people. And here is how they would word their mission for this group. Ty Strong wrote this Wall Street Journal op-ed and said, he criticized what he called a Democratic circular firing squad and progressive purity tests that have threatened the political careers of centrist Democrats like Mark Kelly.
How often have you heard that purity test thing? Who tends to say it? Right-wingers tend to say that, like, oh, you want this purity test, and if somebody's not perfect, then you hate them. That's a great way of saying I can't pass a purity test. Yeah, you know what? You're going to get my vote, if you're going to get my donations, if you're going to be the representative for what I believe in, yeah, you're going to pass a purity test. Yeah. Certainly in the primaries. In fact, that is the point of primaries. And if you happen to be listening to this and you don't tend to vote in primaries, let me tell you, They say you get 1 vote per election. It's not true. You get 2. Because of the system we use, if you don't vote in primaries, you are giving up half of your political power. Use it. We have both a 2-party and a 4-party system. And we simply run elections like a tournament. So make sure your fighter doesn't get disqualified in the early rounds. Vote in the primaries.
And Kirsten Sinema in Arizona. If Democrats in purple states can't find a way to pivot back to the center and avoid death by circular progressive firing squads.
One more thing about, that's a hell of a quote. The theory in purple states is that you need to go middle of the road. Look, we got to learn from our enemies. What did Donald Trump show us? You get more votes if you play to your base. It's because it's hard to turn out voters in America. We're so used to the system not working for us that a lot of us simply don't vote. I don't think it's a good strategy to play to the center in any state. Play to the side that you want to vote for you. Encourage a lot of people to come out and vote for you. You are not going to encourage a lot of young kids to come out and vote for a centrist Democrat. But in a purple state, you need every blue vote that's there. That's simple.
Wrote, get ready for Republican control of both houses of Congress in 2023. He is not interested in a circular firing squad. He is interested in turning those guns outward towards any outsiders who might want to run for office. In any event, he also said that moderate House Democrats often face primary challenges from the far left while also facing competitive general elections.
Good.
We've seen the Republican Party cannibalize its moderate faction, replicating this on the Democrats.
Wait a minute. So right there, the guy's revealing his purposes. He's like, "Oh, well, this could go bad 2 ways. They've got that primary challenge where it could end in disaster, and then they've got the general election." Yeah, that's exactly what I just told you, except phrased like it's a bad thing. That's a good thing. If they don't win in the primary, it means they were unlikely to win in the general.
Democratic side would be a big mistake. So here's the thing, all of that is largely what you might expect. It is a group masquerading as very moderate, when really it's there to advance the interests of defense contractors, Wall Street, and all of that. But can you think of a way that it could get any worse? What if all of its funding didn't even come from bad Democrats, but came from Republicans? And in this case, it is true. Since last year, the moderate PAC has raised just over $1 million, all of it from a single donor, billionaire and co-founder of a Philly investment firm, Jeff Yass.
Okay, so right there. First of all, link in the description. This is a longer video. All of it's entertaining. I would recommend you watch it, if only for funsies. But that highlights how screwed our current campaign finance system is. Financed entirely by one person. What are the laws in the United States? Well, there's a limit to how much a rich man can give to a political campaign, isn't there? Unless that same rich man starts a PAC, in which case he can give them an infinite amount of money. He simply has to first give it to the PAC. It's as simple as this. If he hands the money to the candidate he wants to win directly, and it's $1 million, that's illegal. But if he says, okay, I'm going to put on this hat right here. I'm going to put on these. Now I'm a super PAC. Now here's $1 million. Same person. Given the same amount of money. Just a different name for it. That's all that is. We got to get rid of them altogether. In fact, I'll go so far as to say we need to get big money out of politics. Let me tell you where else this goes awry. I'll be merciful and get poor John I to roll off the screen there. Let me tell you where else this goes awry. Without even forming the PAC, that same billionaire could buy an infinite amount of commercials in support of the candidate they want to win. In other words, rich people get more say in politics than you or me. Wealthy people are allowed to bribe politicians. That is what this is. And I gotta say, I'm delighted that they're singling out progressives here and saying, well, gosh, they're the biggest threat to me. The rich guy. Good. Now you know whose side you should be on. The progressives. Whoever that rich guy doesn't like is your friend. So what can you do? This one's a layup. In terms of identifying what to do, it's going to be hard to get done, but how do we get things accomplished? Consistent pressure. That is how we get things accomplished. We need to pass a constitutional amendment. There is a group called Citizens Take Action. Unfortunately, those two cases, those two examples I cited, the rich person giving an infinite amount of money to a PAC, or buying an infinite amount of campaign funds or campaign commercials for a politician. Those were decided in Supreme Court cases, disastrous Supreme Court cases, unjust Supreme Court cases, which means we have to do the only thing that will allow us to trump a Supreme Court god. He ruined that word, didn't he? That will allow us to beat a Supreme Court case in terms of our decision, in terms of what we are allowed to legislate in this country. There is links in the description. You can sign up to volunteer for Citizens Take Action, or simply contact your representative, tell them you want to hear them publicly endorse the Restore Democracy Amendment. This amendment would make it possible. It wouldn't even do it by itself. It would simply make it possible once again in America to ban corporations from bribing politicians. If you don't want a Democratic Party which is doing the bidding of big oil or big whatever the hell over what you need, if you don't want Republicans getting, Republicans are going to sell their souls for a nickel, but if you don't want the majority of politicians in this country funded by major corporations that don't have your interests in mind, Citizens Take Action and the Restore Our Democracy Amendment is the way to go. You can make it happen. Remember, each of us is responsible for our own representative. You contact yours, I'll contact mine. Tell them you want them to support the Restore, can't remember if it's Our Democracy or Democracy Amendment, but it is in the description right now. You can go check me on that. The Restore Democracy Amendment.